How's everybody doing? So what I want to do is just talk to you about this F&M Models HO scale Kenworth K100 cab over. This is actually a beautiful little kit. All his kits are. I have the Peterbilt, there's this Kenworth, and then there's some other subjects that he's doing that are soon to be released as well. So here's a photo of the prototype. So, you know, you're looking here at about late 70s, early 80s. That's basically what the truck is based on. But, you know, some of the owner-operators had them and they were restored and repainted, rebuilt, etc. So what I want to do is, I didn't cover the whole paint process. I was just in a zone and I couldn't stop, really. I mean, it happens like that sometimes. Like if I was to try to cover every paint, I mean, I'll try to down the road, but it's so disruptive sometimes to do a tutorial in a paint like this. Like you can't get any flow, like you can't get anything done. So sometimes when you get into the groove, you just got to go for it. Turn the phone off and spend 4 hours, no, literally 4 hours and just paint. And that's what I did. So I just want to point out a couple things that I did first. Like here's the cab. Okay, so what I did was I primered it with this Tamiya for plastic and metal surface primer. I find works pretty good for resin, for those of you that like to work in resin. And then I used the Tamiya color. This one's pure white. It probably helps to use base white, and then I used pure white, but kept it really thin. I find that the Tamiya rattle cans are excellent. Like it just lays on, self-levels beautifully. And if you apply as you read the instructions on the product, and if you follow the directions, everything should go great. So I'm pretty happy with the way that turned out. You can see I highlighted with some Tamiya clear orange where the flasher units are, signals, amber lights, and the top lights on the top of the cab. So that worked out pretty good. Now there's a couple of things that I did on this model that I don't normally do. So some of you are probably familiar with this liquid chrome mirror effect paint pen. Now I'm a little bit on the fence with this. Like I think chrome like this can look really good. I think a lot of times, like in 187 scale, it's maybe too much or overdone. You can see it. I mean, it looks flashy like a fish lure, right? To catch collectors. But I find in scale, see, this is where people have issues with translation. Like they figure, well, that's what it looks like in the real world. But then, you know, you're looking at a 187 model in your hand and it just doesn't look like that from a distance. I mean, even this photo right here, I mean, look at the bumper. Does it look chrome to you? Does it look like that? No, right? Like none of the chrome does. You know what I mean? So that's subject to opinion. You can, you know, have it any way you want. So you can see the sun glare shield. I used that chrome. Like if you apply that chrome, it's awesome. Like that's beautiful. Like you can't get that with paint, like just regular acrylic paint. There's no way. And I did that with the two grills. I don't even want to touch it with my hands, because if you don't let this cure for like 3 or 4 days, like you're going to get a fingerprint on it. And it has a lot of solids and particle, like metal particle solids or whatever in the actual paint. So it takes about a week to cure, right? You should leave it for a week anyway. The exhaust I haven't finished, but you can see the pipe. See how they look? Like they look good, eh? With the chrome. And I find with the chrome pen, it takes a little bit of a learning curve to figure out, like you just got to kind of pull it on or something, or just after, like practice on something a bit first, and now you get the hang of it. So I did 2 grills there. One's maybe was a little bit too heavy, and I also did the rims, but I just did the outside of the edge of the rims. And then I used aluminum paint on the inside with a little blue-gray wash. I like to use blue-gray with chrome for shadow. Those turned out pretty good. I should mention with the wheels, I had to ream out the wheels. The wheels wouldn't fit on the rim. And it's probably a good idea to do that, and I'll tell you why. Because once you get them painted and you have to start forcing on them with your fingers and hands, you're going to wreck the paint job. So I reamed them out by using like a tube with sandpaper on it, like a smaller diameter file. And I just, with 600 sandpaper, turning it like that. And now like they go on pretty good, because if you put any washes of paint on them, You know, they're going to be really tight. So these are doable now. I can pretty much slide them on. So that was a little bit of fiddly work to do that. In terms of the precision of the parts, they're just fantastic. I don't know that much technically about 3D printers, but like look at these air horns, like they're gorgeous. Like I was able to use the chrome pen, like this liquid chrome for these as well. But you got to use tweezers, hold them with tweezers and paint them on, and then make sure they cure for 3 or 4 days. But they look really good. Should be a nice touch on the cab. And then there's the air cleaner pipe. And then these fuel tanks I just painted with Vallejo aluminum and put a blue wash on them around the strapping. So I thought they looked pretty good too. And then the inside is just a series of dark grays that goes inside the cab. And then I also, like, see the little light bezels here? I touched those with the little chrome pen as well, liquid chrome. Put them on a piece of, this is tape, like backwards mounted Tamiya tape. Just tape the ends like that. I call these tape sticks. So I put on my parts. There's the windshield wipers. That's the sunshade. I might leave that off. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. If it's too gaudy, I'll probably leave it off. But these little bezels turned out nice with the chrome pen. That I was pleased with. Those look good, really good chrome. Maybe the bumpers will too. Now, I want to take you to the frame before I show you the assembled model here. Oh, just mention the tires. The tires are awesome. Like, you don't even really have to paint them. Like, they have a black rubber look to them. But what I did was I put a dark black wash on them, thin wash, and then I took sandpaper and rubbed the treads just to show the detail of the treads. See that? And the treads are pretty cool. So those should look neat when they're mounted on the rims. The tires are awesome. Mike did an excellent job here. Really, as a modeler myself, a discerning modeler, I'd say. He did a fantastic job. I love this truck. So here is the frame that I had a lot of fun painting. And this was just a zone piece. It was like I did it all at once. So I painted basically the frame with the airbrush, this German gray. This is how I do most of my frames at this scale, even larger scales. I base it out with German gray, XF63. And then I just dipped the whole frame. Like, I mounted the motor, the fifth wheel, and the filter tank here, the air filter box, like just some of the mink mounts and the mud flaps. And I just painted the whole piece like that. And I'm really quite pleased with the way it turned out. So I just dipped the whole thing in water, just soaked it down in water, and then I just started doing wet on wet. You can see the fifth wheel added a little bit of clear just to simulate some grease on there, but you can see how that turned out too. Of course, you won't see the mill, the cab covers it. But, you know, it should be pretty cool. It's a really nice model. With the mirrors and all the other details, there's a little capsule that you get too with all the little detail parts. But I'll show you the finished model. So these are the three colors that I generally use. Is this dark gray blue wash over that German gray, and then there's some rust colors as well. I just start stabbing colors on really thin with water. Keep moving it around, wipe it away, move it around until you like it. And turned out really good, actually, I thought. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just put this together then, and then we'll have a look at it, okay? Okay, so I just want to show you just a couple of more assembly points here. So, little word of warning with this chrome, like the chrome pencil. I don't know where it is now, but anyway. So, see this pipe? Like, this pipe looks pretty good, right? From that chrome pen that I showed you. So don't touch it, right? Don't ever touch it. Like, I'm not that familiar with it because I don't really care about chrome, really. Like, chrome is bling to me, and it's not even really scale, but it does look good in some situations. As they say, not everything in the 1-to-1 scale looks appropriate when you translate it down to a small scale. It just, some things are too bright, too shiny, etc. Now, when I was dry brushing this grill, I'm going to show you how to dry brush this heat guard in a second here. When I was dry brushing this grill, it turned out really good, but I was holding this down with a piece of wax paper, or not wax paper, just a piece of scrap parchment paper or whatever it was, I can't remember now. Anyway, it marred all the chrome, like I hardly even touched it. And this has been drying for 4 days. So it could be a couple things. Could be the humidity, because the humidity right now here in BC is just brutal, like for painting. And I'm not going to stop painting, otherwise I can't paint all summer, So that's probably part of the reason, because I let it dry and it was primered with Tamiya, so maybe it's primer. I don't know, but I'm not going to go to school on chrome pencils because I don't really care about them that much. But if you want to use them, feel free to do so. Here's a piece like that I haven't touched yet. I'm just going to I'm going to keep for my museum. Like there it is. It's pretty nice though, right? But once again, it's 1/87 scale, and I like this bumper anyway. So what I did was I took a little bit of aluminum, the Model Air 71.062. I really like this actually. It's really good paint, and it's really good or suitable for small scale chrome and aluminum, etc. So I just took this and a thin wash, like with some water, and I just put a wash over the bumper so it's going to look a little weathered. My models tend to have a weathered style to them, so I'm okay with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of that here, okay? That same aluminum. I'm just going to dip the end of the brush here like this, okay? And I'm going to rub off, like just dump it. Okay, I'll dump it onto here as much as I can, pretty much till it's almost gone. So the trick is to get it so it's dry but not completely yet. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slightly, you see that okay? See what looks better, if it looks better here or there. Anyway, you can see, so I painted this dark gray, and you can see if you get it right, it just catches the top of the heat guard, and it looks really good. See? And then there's the chrome pipe, So that's nice. Like a lot of guys, truckers, they love the chrome pipe, so I don't want to let that get all marred. So I really like the look of that. So I'm going to put that aside, because when I mount this part where the tweezers is under the truck, like under the cab. So I'm going to be very careful. And there's a couple of standoff sprues there. I'm going to be very careful when I mount this, because I don't want to even touch that pipe, because this part I don't want to lose the chrome with. And then I also have the sunshade is chrome too, but we'll look at that near the end. These I can handle. It's just paint. It's aluminum paint. It's the same paint. This is the Vallejo aluminum for the tanks. The tanks look nice. I mean, if you really want, you could do chrome straps, but I'm not going to bother. Okay, sorry if I'm repeating myself here on this one. I just want to revisit this for 1 minute. So remember how I talked about reaming out the rim hole here? So this is a 2.4 millimeter drill bit, and it's quite a bit larger. Well, not quite a bit, but it's significantly larger than the actual axle, right, on there. And you want to know why? Because all 4 corners sits flush on a flat surface, right? Now, if you don't do this, it might lift just half a mil, like just lift the rear up or whatever, and the truck doesn't sit totally flush. So if that matters to you, the trick to do is this is why you do all 4 corners. Get it so it sits down flat, and then save this axle for last, and then just hone out, just with your fingers with the drill bit, because resin's easy to drill, and just hone it out a little bit, okay? You might have to do a couple of sizes to get yourself there. And then when you slide this wheel on, there's a little bit of play there, and it'll, like the material that you take out of there will help set that wheel so it's nice and flush. Okay, see that? Like that. All right. because it's going to be static display anyway. So, alrighty. Okay, I'm going to install this window here. So if I didn't mention this before, you can see that this is one of the exceptional, well, another exceptional feature of this model. So Mike is, like, I don't know how he did these windows, or what method he used to reproduce them, but I don't believe they're printed. I don't think so. Anyway, you see how they have a crease in them there? It helps to bend, just to pre-bend that just a little bit more if you can, just to make sure that it goes around that window post there and wraps around the front face of the cab nice. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take some GAC 500. I mentioned this before, this here. It's a premium, you know, window glazing adhesive. There are other names for it, like canopy glue and so on. But anyway, I'm just going to put a little bead of it. It dries clear. It's going to put a bead in the corner. Sorry if there's shadow here. I'm trying my hardest not to get any shadow here. Put a bead in that corner there. You can add a tiny bit of water to this or just wet the bristle of the brush. And it'll capillary down the seam. So I'm going to take this window, try not to handle it. I think I already put a little mark on it already. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay it in here like this. No, I'm not going to lay it in there like this. I'm going to go from here. You ever notice that? Like if you do something alone, you do it perfectly, but as soon as you turn the camera on, that's all the nightmares begin. There we go. Oh, it sort of snapped into place. You know what? These are the nicest windows I've ever seen on a model like this scale glazing. They practically just snap into place, you know? Like, excuse me. So you can just take, like, see this brush here? So just a bit of water here. I just wet the bristle. Just wet the bristle and then dab it off. And then dip into the GAC 500 or canopy glue. Same name, but I don't think the consistency is the same. So you can basically go like this. Keep it more to the side of the center frame and it just beads right in. I wished I would have pre-bent the window on the other side. It's not quite seated as nice as I would like, but this is the first particular Kenworth cab over truck I built in 1/87 scale, so you live and learn, right? You do better the next time. Okay, how's everybody doing? So we're getting pretty close here. You can see now I've got the chassis built, which I'm really quite pleased with. It's quite a beautiful model. You know, this is a testimony of what can be done with a 3D printer, you know. But it should be known that a lot of this work is done on, you know, at the desk in software and AutoCAD, etc. too. I mean, that's just as important a qualification to produce a good model is the actual design and the execution in the software suite as it is, you know, for the model. I mean, the printer prints the model, it prints what you put in, right? So quality in, quality out, as they say, but or vice versa. So I just want to talk to you about just the mirrors for a few minutes here. So the mirrors that come with this particular model are actually, they almost look like just a staple. Like they're more than adequate. You can see they're just like a metal grab iron. And then these little plastic, or not plastic, sorry, the resin printed mirrors, once again, I use, like matte medium. Again, it's an excellent acrylic flexible glue, just, a lot like canopy glue. People use that term canopy glue, but this particular product is not canopy glue, but it is an acrylic medium, right? Okay, that dries clear, but flat, not glossy in this case. So all I did was I basically laid this down on top and just put a bead and let it dry just to get it tacked on there. And then I came along the next day and I basically just chased it with a little extra matte medium. Now, what I've decided to do is I'm probably not going to use the mirrors on this, like these particular mirrors, because I have a set of these. Okay, no sponsor, Showcase Miniatures. These are side view mirror set. You get 3 frets in here, and I just want to show you these because they're actually quite stunning. And I'm hoping down the road that 3D printers, if it's economically feasible, can consider this. I mean, I know there can be problems with that as far as, numbers producing and costs of things, but you can see that these mirrors, they're gorgeous, right? That's what they come on. There's the fender mirrors for the more modern trucks, and then these are the Western style mirrors, and they have the brackets that fold down, the rear backup lights here, and then these, which I believe are antennas, and they look quite good. Let me just show you one here, and I'll show you how it goes on. So you can see there's one right here. I haven't. You see there? I'll just move this out of the way. So you can see how nice they are, and you can bend the little mirror plate on an angle, and then this bracket bends down, and then I'll show you how they mount. You have to drill an additional hole on the door. So I just laid this on there, and then I measured with a pencil, and then used a number 11 blade basically to, excuse me, I'll just reach over and grab it. Like I used a number 11 blade to start the hole, okay? And then I drilled it. That way your drill bit won't run out on you, okay? And then I'll bend this top bracket down, but I'm gonna leave these other, like antennas that are mounted on the mirror frame. You can see that they drop, like it drops right on, and then I'll use matte medium to mount them on, and you see how nice they are. See that? I mean, the truck deserves it, right? I'm not saying these mirrors are fine, but I bought these some time ago because I thought they were cool. I wanted to dress up some of my other trucks, but that was before, excuse me, just dropped that out of the way. That was before Mike produced this kit, obviously. I bought these a few years back, probably, yeah, a couple of years ago now. And I think this truck deserves them, don't you? I mean, look at those. They're beautiful, right? Okay, so that's what I'm going to do with those. I'll just bend that bracket down and then angle those and get those mounted up, and they should look pretty good. And getting down to some of the final cab details, the horns, they all look really cool. And then this rear, like the intake and exhaust, and the headache rack that goes on there, okay? So I have to nip off these little light bar plugs if you assemble it this way, if you like to build the cab without putting the plug in first, which you probably have to do anyway. So if you don't nip these off, you won't get cab plug. You won't get the cab plug in. It's getting close. So this, I need to do this first if I want to mount the plug on the chassis first to make sure that it lines up. How's everybody doing? So what I'm doing here is I'm just gluing this handrails and this stirrup assembly here onto the model, and it's to show you how I tackle this. So this is feeling really good now because I'm actually getting almost to the end. It's feeling really good, and I'm really liking how this truck is shaping up. I mean, it's amazing what you can do in 1/87 scale if you really put your mind to it. So what I'm doing here is, so these are painted parts, right? The cab is painted, and the railings, I used that chrome. Well, I actually primered these first with Tamiya flat black, I think it was, and then I used that chrome pen, and it turned out actually not too bad. You can see the chrome on these. I mean, there is some chrome parts. The air horns are chrome worked out. This turned out really good. Like this actual sun visor, like I'm really amazed how good that turned out. And just to recount briefly, like I had a little bit of a mishap with the bumper. But hey, you know what? The bumper looks a little sort of sandblasted from just the road and stuff. And the other one I didn't put on because, well, it was large. I just wasn't a fan of the larger bumper, but it turned out nicer, but it was a little bit heavy on the chrome, I thought. But anyway, these little railings here, so what I did was I used some matte medium just for these bottom ones at these little standoffs. And you can see, if I can point it out, like they sort of sit on there. And I don't want to scrape the paint off. It's just too small. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of CA just to anchor the piece. Because what I did was like with 3D parts, sometimes they'll flex a bit. Like see on the side there, like you want that stirrup to be nice and straight, right? Like straight down beside the truck like that. And I found that if I pushed the top down, it kind of deflected the stirrup out a bit. So what I did was I glued the bottom first, and I didn't worry about the top. It sort of sprung out a little bit, see? So now I can take this, and what I'll do is I'm going to take a tiny bit of CA just on the pick here, and I'm just going to use it to anchor this part down like that. Okay, there, it grabbed right away. Now this is the nice thing about using CI in a model, but I always chase the CI later when it dries with a bit of matte medium, because the matte medium, well in this case it won't show really, but the matte medium will see, like just paint it over top, puts a little bit of like a coating over it, a flat, clear, flexible coating will ensure that those railings, like if you grab them and stuff, they won't snap off because they will never be brittle. CA will give you a brittle connection, but the matte medium will ensure that it stays flexible. There we go. It just takes a tiny bit. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'll show you what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this CA out of the way. I'm going to take some of this matte medium here. I'm just going to put a bead right there, and then I'm going to take, well, I don't want to use a good brush with this actually. Oh, actually I'll do the other ones instead. So just take a brush and just wet it. Take a little bit of this matte medium. Sorry for the bright white. I can't adjust ISO on the fly here. I'll just move that out of the way. And I'm just going to take a little bit on a brush. And remember, when this brush, it just throw it into a jar of water after, and it won't wreck the brush. Just going to put a little bit of white milky acrylic matte medium over those stanchion knobbies. I'm not going to do these yet because I don't want to put any C on the end of this nice little brush I have. But I can do these though, these bottom ones. I did them an hour ago. And this will ensure that these little stanchions won't give way. And the paint and the chrome will once this clears, the milkiness clears. Oh, sorry. Once the milkiness clears, you'll have the distinction of the chrome handrail and the white painted standoff. Okay? How's everybody doing? So this is F&M's Models Kenworth K100 cab over, and is this thing a stunning little truck model? Like the way this thing went together was beautiful. Like, I mean, how often do we build kits in 1/87 scale? But this model is really, like, I haven't seen anything like it. Like, there's no model truck out there, and you know some of the ones that are out there, like the pre-made ones and so on, they can't hold a candle to this. Not even Burkina models. Like, this is just a beautiful truck. So, you know, like I say, it was a challenging some aspects of it, but it went together as per instructions. If you read the instructions, the truck goes together beautifully and as described. So if you're interested in this kind of a truck, well, this is the one that Mike puts out, and he has some conventional Peterbilt and some other flat deck trucks. There's a SRY caboose coming out. This, like, I can't wait. Like, his work is beautiful. Like, he really knows how to design a model because he's a model builder himself, right? Like, in the traditional sense. So he gets it. So I added a few of my own little details in here. Well, actually, just the mirrors. But the mirrors that come with it are pretty good. But these are the, I'll just say it, they're the Showcase Miniature stainless etched mirrors with antennas. And I had to put them on. Like, you can see them. Like, I had a pack sitting there. There's no way I'm not going to put them on, right? Like, I just had to. So you can see the chrome. I didn't use the chrome pen on too many parts. On the sun visor there, I thought it would be a neat touch. I toned down the bumper as they normally are, and the tanks are aluminum. That's just Vallejo, like, hand painted. I rattle canned the cab with Tamiya, pure white, over their fine primer. I sprayed Tamiya dark Panzer gray on the frame, and then I put washes on it, some rust washes, etc. So it's all in the build tutorial, and the paint I cover most of it. And I used the chrome pen on the air cleaner pipe and the exhaust pipe, except for the shield. I just painted that by hand over flat black, dry brushed it. The wheels, I put a little bit of chrome trimmer on the wheels, but you got to be careful with those chrome pens. I did do the side railings and stirrups. It's a bit of a learning curve. You don't want to pull it up too much. In fact, there's 2 bumpers with this kit as well, and 2 sets of pipes, 2 sets of air cleaners, you know, lots of little goodies and extras. So, you know, really happy with it. What a beautiful little model to add to River Road as a kind of owner-operator, you know, feature, right? And so what we'll do is I'll put it up on the layout there, and I'll show you what it looks like, and then just drop a trailer or 2 on it as well, just to see how she looks all saddled up, okay? Okay, so here's the tractor with this rather dated short little 26-foot Reimer trailer. Now, back in the day, these cab overs would have pulled these as well, but they mostly would have been conventionals pulling these, because at the time it was these cab overs that were only regulated to pull the longest trailers that were available. Here, I'll put one on for you just to give you an idea. Well, this is a 53-footer, but during a period of time, the reason why cab overs were so popular is because they could pull more freight, because they met the full length regulation as opposed to the conventional type, which didn't. So if you wanted to maximize your load in your cart and cartage, while cab overs were king in their day. You still see a few around, owner-operators and so on. That's how I'm going to depict this on this layout of mine. That's why I didn't put any company logos on it. It would just be an owner-operator. And there were some even that, you know, they modified them with CAT engines and stuff. It's just kind of cool. But anyway, what a beautiful model. And I'm really looking forward to some of the future releases by F&M as well. I think I mentioned earlier that he also does a flatbed truck, a Peterbilt. I heard rumors there was some loggers, trucks, tractors possibly coming. That's just a rumor though. But there is a caboose that's in beta, which is coming, an SRY Canadian caboose, formerly BC Hydro Rail, which I'm looking forward to as well. So cheers to everyone, happy modeling, and I hope that you have a great day.